Hi, and welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Linda McNamee, in for Phil Gallagher. Joining me on this week's edition is BNews Director Rich Hosford, BNews reporters Tad Stefanak, Robert Paris, and John Vayas. Anyone who wants to get tested for the coronavirus, even if you cannot afford it, can do so in neighboring Bedford. For the foreseeable future, there will be COVID-19 testing at First Parish on the Bedford Town Common every Tuesday. All are welcome regardless of town residence, affiliation, symptoms, or availability to pay. You can register online and you'll be given a time slot and number. The testing is being done with strict guidelines to ensure safety and generally takes about 3 minutes from the time you arrive at the testing site. Results will be mailed to you in order to adhere to HIPAA guidelines. However, all participants who test positive will receive a phone call from lab staff immediately after results are available. According to Reverend John Gibbons, nearly 500 people have been tested, of whom only 3 were positive and asymptomatic, highlighting the need for people to get tested. The testing is a collaboration between a local lab, the Bedford Research Foundation, and First Parish in accordance with Governor Baker's task force encouraging of universal testing. There is a fee of $85 for the test, but Reverend Gibbons says that thanks to donations, if anyone cannot afford it, they can get financial help. Find a link to register on our website at bcattv.org/bnews. Swimming pools and other swim areas are opening back up while the summer is still young, but not without the proper social distancing guidelines. BNews reporter John Vayas spoke to some experts about pool safety in the time of COVID-19 and has this report.
When school's out and the sun is hot, the place to cool off is your local swimming pool. But with the COVID-19 pandemic still in place, the pools in Burlington haven't been able to open up as early as usual. Summer is not over yet, and swimming pools are slowly opening back up in the state of Massachusetts, with Phase 2 in action. And the Burlington Board of Health is doing everything they can to allow citizens to go swimming while staying safe and social distancing. I spoke with health agent Marlene Johnson about the community standards for public and semi-public swimming pools.
According to CDC, there is no evidence that the virus can be transmitted through swimming pool water, as long as the swimming pool water is properly chlorinated. It would inactivate any virus that might be in the water. So you want to stay 6 feet apart from other people or other families. And if you can't stay 6 feet apart, you do need to wear the mask. Nobody should be wearing a mask in a swimming pool. When the masks become wet, they become difficult to breathe through. So while in the pool, you want to practice that social distancing as much as possible. If you can't, you should get out of the pool. You have to reserve a time slot, and the time slot might be 30 minutes, it might be 40 minutes, but you would go in and use the pool during that reserved time. And then once you leave, they will have an employee come out and do some disinfecting.
Goldfish Swim School, the premier learn-to-swim facility for children, has recently opened their doors, which means more time cleaning the pool and a new set of rules for their young swimmers.
So in addition to regular testing and our normal sanitation walkthroughs, we really are going to be flipping the building a lot more often now. We've ordered face shields and we'll be wearing face masks at the desk, in addition to putting up all kinds of signage and making sure we have a guard for our staff at the desk so that anyone who does come up with questions, there's a barrier, much like other businesses. We're going to have far fewer people in the building. We're going to make sure that everyone is spaced out properly. And even in our pool, we're going to have increased spacing and smaller class sizes so that we can ensure that kids aren't, right on top of each other or, even swimming in a place where they would be able to make contact with each other.
The Parks and Recreation Department is also making sure that their pool visitors are taking all the necessary precautions as well while cooling off in the sun. Director Brendan Egan talks about his predictions on the future of swimming and safety.
So we just have a waiting pool. We'll continue to provide monitors there and that are watching the participants that are in it. But it is up to the parents to watch. They're not a lifeguard there, so we'll We'll continue to provide appropriate life-saving apparatus there if we had to use it, but the water is 2.5 feet deep there, and we do ask the parents that they're responsible for their children while their pool supervisor is there to check IDs and make sure the rules are being followed.
And staying safe in your backyard swimming pool is just as important as staying safe in the public pools.
It is still important to make sure that you meet the minimum standard of the chlorine level for your pool. As long as that chlorine minimum standard is met, the virus will become inactivated if it is in the pool at all.
This is John Vias for BNEWS Weekly.
Thank you, John. The Burlington Fire Department has made the switch from basic life support to advanced life support in regards to its medical responses. To find out how this was achieved and what it means, BNews Director Rich Hosford went to the department to learn more. He has this report.
It's been a long time in the making, but the Burlington Fire Department is now certified to offer advanced life support instead of basic life support, meaning they now will have paramedics rather than EMTs on all ambulance calls. Fire Chief Mike Patterson said it was a team effort between the firefighters, the union, fire administration, and multiple town administrators, and it was a long process that required approval from many boards and committees and even town meeting.
So this is something we've been working for many years. I can tell you when I came on the job almost 32 years ago, Chief Tebow laid out a plan. And part of his plan was bringing ALS, or a paramedic service, to the town of Burlington. So since Chief Tebow, we've had Chief Callahan, Chief Yetman, and myself, who've all pushed forward with this initiative.
The big difference between an EMT and a paramedic is training and schooling. To get to the higher level requires roughly an additional year of education before obtaining a paramedic certification. However, being accredited as a department for advanced life support also means being able to use more advanced medical procedures and medicines.
Once you can work as a paramedic, then the state dictates, or actually National Registry dictates, the difference between the scope of practice of a paramedic and an EMT, which includes more procedures, such as more advanced airway procedures, starting IVs, and delivering upwards of 40 different medications.
Now that we're at the paramedic level, we can apply the cardiac monitor, we can look at your heart, we can see what kind of rates if you're having a heart attack. We can also administer IVs to give you a number of medications. And that's really helpful to bring to the patient. Instead of having to wait for a service, we bring that right in the door right when we get there.
It also means that paramedic level service arrives sooner than it did when the town used an outside service that didn't always have ambulances in Burlington.
So, again, we had a great relationship with our previous ALS provider, but they were not always available in the town of Burlington. They were coming from other areas of the region that they were covering as well. So now when the ambulance first gets to the house, they're at the advanced life support level. So higher level of care is actually initiated a lot sooner than it had been in the past.
Finally, Chief Patterson said he is glad the department made the transition to advanced life support.
So as in any business, we tried to strive to do better. So as the department began to grow, we felt that it would be great for us, the department and the community, to advance our ambulance service to the next level, being the paramedic type service. What that's going to lead to is better outcomes for the patient, and that's what it's all about, delivering a better service.
From the Burlington Fire Department, I'm BNews Director Rich Hosford.
Thank you, Rich. Out for blood. Once again, the Burlington Police Department took on the Burlington Fire Department in the 3rd annual Battle of the Badges blood drive. Due to obvious safety precautions, only scheduled donors and essential personnel were allowed inside the venue. However, BNews reporter Tad Stefanak spoke with Burlington Police Lieutenant Glenn Mills about this year's event. He has this look.
So today is our 3rd annual Police versus Fire Department blood drive. We were actually very fortunate this year that we got a location. The Hilton Garden Inn was good enough to let us use this location, because where we had done our previous blood drives. Those locations, those venues weren't big enough. So Joshua McDaniel is the head of sales here. He actually got in touch with me and asked if they could help us with anything related to the COVID-19 pandemic. They were good enough to let us use this venue. Fortunately, this year we actually filled this event very quickly. We had an excellent turnout. I tried signing up for this blood drive. I couldn't get in. I wanted to donate blood today, and it had already filled up weeks ago. The demand for blood is always highest in the summer. The Red Cross always struggles in the summertime to fill their blood drives because people are typically away on vacation, they're busy. It's very hard to meet the demand that they normally have. It's well worth it. It's well worth your time to get out there. If you ever have an opportunity to donate blood, this is really a great chance for regular people who aren't first responders to actually do something that literally saves people's lives.
From the 3rd annual Battle of the Badges blood drive at the Hilton Garden Inn, I'm BNews reporter Tad Stefanak.
Thank you, Tad. Wonder who won. Anyway, a new bill that was just passed in Massachusetts will allow for greater voter access during this fall's elections. That includes early vote by mail. Representative Ken Gordon and Senator Sidney Friedman joined their colleagues in the Massachusetts legislature last week to pass a bill that expands voter access and ensures voters have safe voting options for all remaining 2020 elections, including the September 1st state primary and November 3rd general election, in response to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The bill was signed into law by the governor on July 6th. The legislation establishes a vote-by-mail option, an early voting period for the upcoming fall elections. In addition to those options, the bill also addresses polling place safety for those who choose to cast their ballots in person and provides additional resources to clerks to make the logistics of processing votes easier. To create a sense of community, BHS Rising Senior Anshul Sharudi has been donating his time by recognizing frontline workers and first responders during the COVID-19 pandemic with special Bonded Forever bracelets. BNews reporter Robert Paris spoke to him and has this report.
As we all cope through the pandemic, we all have something in common. We are in this together. One BHS student has been recognizing all the frontline workers, first responders, town officials, police and fire departments through a special project.
I've started a project known as Bonded Forever. So in this campaign, I felt that our community structure had really fallen apart. Like everyone was physically distanced from one another, and socially everyone was together, but like everyone was apart. So I wanted to create something which everyone could wear every day, and everyone will know that, oh, we're all in this together. And so I created this wristband which says Bonded Forever on it, and I'm distributing it out to all of the town officials, police department, fire stations.
Anshul has delivered a number of these around town, which includes a wristband and thank you cards.
I have this thank you card and this letter. So in this letter, you'll get a thank you card and you'll get a wristband. This gives a brief message thanking them for what they do. And it also has a small little mental health aspect to it to address the root cause of feeling lonely in times of the pandemic.
A project this big couldn't be done alone. Anshul had a little help from the Peace First organization.
The Peace First organization is just used to help kids develop their ideas. It's all across the world. They provide small mini grants, and it's not something I just achieved in one day. It's not something I did in a week. It came over a few months. I spent a lot of time. We went back and forth. I actually received a mini grant to start up this project.
The Burlington Police Department thought the idea of keeping everyone together during this time of uncertainty was unique.
Anshul, he came up here and he told me about this project that he had going on, and I really thought this is a great time for something like this. Obviously, everyone knows what's going on around the country right now. You know, it's not been easy for anyone these past few months. People are under a lot of stress, and I think that everyone needs to remember that the only way we're going to get through all of these things that are going on in society right now and throughout this year is if we are working together.
As for the message on the bracelets, they give everyone a reassurance that we are not alone during this time.
Really like the message on the bracelet, this Bonded Forever message. when I saw that message, it really reminded me of that we are bonded forever. We can't exist without each other, and we can't do our job without the public, and the public can't have everything they want in terms of safety and security without the police. Police only being members of the public who are paid to give full-time attention to the duties of every citizen. And that's what really came through with this message to me.
Anshul will take the project a step further as he will be sending these bracelets and thank you cards around the Commonwealth.
All of the Burlington police department workers will wear it. Same with the fire station, same with the town officials, and all the unnoticed frontline heroes will wear it. And then I'll expand it to Woburn, and then Lexington, and then other like neighboring towns. And then everyone will have this common message that, oh, okay, we're all in this together. That, oh, I see that blue thing, which everyone's also wearing. So just spreads the message that we're in it together.
As we work as one against the coronavirus, we need to take this time to thank the people who are sacrificing their lives every day to keep us safe and healthy.
Thank everyone for all their hard work, especially the unnoticed workers, because in this pandemic, a lot of the hospital staff is receiving a lot of recognition, and they're doing a great thing, of course. They're keeping the numbers low, and but really it comes down to the fire station, police department. They're working extremely hard, that they're really the ones who are facing the people who have this COVID virus, and they're actually bringing them to the hospital. So that's the most difficult part before they're faced with the hospital staff.
We're part of the community. More than half the police department are people who live in Burlington, and we have to work together. There's just no getting around that, and we have to support each other. That's on us too, the police. We have to support people's concerns in the public, and if they bring up legitimate concerns, we have to address them and continuously work to improve and do a better job. And that's what we're going to do for as long as we exist. We are truly bonded forever with the community.
From the Burlington Police Department, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Anshul. Navy Garg, an incoming junior at Burlington High School, has created a piece of art in support of the Black Lives Matter movement, which has been widely recognized on social media. BNews reporter John Valles spoke to her about the piece and has this look.
On May 25, 2020, 46-year-old George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Former police officer Derek Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck for almost 8 minutes, while Floyd was handcuffed and lying face down, begging for his life. Since this recent tragic event, the Black Lives Matter movement has made its way further into the spotlight. People around the world, including the town of Burlington, Massachusetts, have been protesting, holding up signs, and letting their voices be heard. The students of BHS have let their voices be heard as well through the medium of art. Meet Navya Garg, an incoming junior who created one piece of art that has surfaced on the Twitter of the BHS class of 2021, featuring two hands holding in unity.
When the junior student council president asked me if she could put my work on her Twitter, I was really excited because, first of all, at that point, I didn't really have a Twitter account, so I couldn't see it, but I made one just to see it, and then I saw like all the love and all the people retweeting it. So thank you to anyone who liked it, and I got some really kind messages about it. So.
The symbolic drawing serves as a reminder of allyship in the movement, where people of all races can come together in support of one another and for their voices to be heard.
Creating art that sends a message usually is really controversial because you know that there's going to be people that are going to disagree with what you drew. So I try to keep it to like facts rather than, or something pretty obvious in the movement rather than something like people can oppose. In my personal opinion, I support the Black Lives Movement, but I know there's probably many people out there who don't. But I feel like even those people that don't support it, it's pretty obvious to them that there is a lot of support from different races around the world and the United States for this movement.
Navya hopes that her art will inspire others to see the bigger picture as we take one step further in putting an end to racism and all of the surrounding prejudices.
This movement itself has gained more support in the last month or so than it has probably in the last like 2 or 3 years in ways that affects me. Like I have a lot of friends that are part of the African Americans community, and to think like that they'd end up like getting like killed, or like they'd end up like being thrown in jail for stuff that they didn't do. Like that, just the thought of that seems so unfair, and like it would mean a lot, like to them. I know if we were all standing together as a community, and like not a community just like in Burlington, but probably as in the United States, and as I mentioned before, in the world itself, to like overcome these boundaries and kind of almost like ratify the legal system in today's world right now.
This is John Vias for BNEWS Weekly.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Navya. The Burlington Sculpture Park is set for installations throughout the summer. In preparation, the Sculpture Park Committee set up replicas to get a feel for the look and spacing of Burlington's coming open-air museum. BNews reporter Tad Stefanak has this look.
After years of planning, the Burlington Sculpture Park is taking shape and will soon be an outdoor museum for public enjoyment just off the town common.
Today, we came out here and set up in place cardboard mock-ups of the actual sculptures that are going to be installed through this summer into the early fall, so we could tell exactly where we wanted to place them all.
2 years ago, the Sculpture Park Committee partnered with the New England Sculptors Association.
They knew what they wanted, but they weren't quite sure of the mechanics of how they go out and actually reach out to the community and make this happen. So they asked us to consult with them, and we've had about 15 meetings since then with many committees and municipalities in the town, the DPW, the library committee, the selectmen, the planning board, the historic commission here came. So it's been a real town effort. It's been amazing.
Bob Buckley was the guy who got Nordblum to donate $10,000 to pay for this first round. These are going to be here for 2 years once the real ones are installed. And then the town has the option to purchase the ones they like. So eventually there'll be some fundraising efforts. And we're going to start with these 6 works, but if people really like it, maybe we'll go up to 8, 10, 12. There's a lot of space here that we could increase the sculpture park if people like it. As soon as COVID eases up, we're going to have a big public event out here, and we want to have a series of public events where people can come out and make temporary one-day works of art and just have a whole lot of fun, like the fun that we've been having today.
From the corner of Bedford and Center Street, I'm BNews reporter Tad Stefanak.
Thank you, Tad. A new concept in dining and alcohol sales is looking to open in the Burlington Mall. According to paperwork filed with the Planning Department, Common Craft, a combination restaurant and wine craft beer store, has filed for a special permit to open near Entrance 1 at the mall. Common Craft is a unique dining proposal which includes both a restaurant establishment and a retail wine malt store operation to be situated between Legal Seafoods and Fogo de Chao. I hope I said that right. The cover letter of the special permit application reads, "The full-service restaurant will be comprised of multiple unique rooms offering various cuisines complemented by unique wines, craft beers, and other alcoholic beverages." According to the letter, these dining options will be enhanced with rotating seasonal foods and unique beverages intended to maintain customer interests. Apart from the restaurant is the retail wine malt sales area, which will be operated in a separate area accessed outside of the restaurant and will offer wine and craft beer products featured within the restaurant. The application is scheduled to be before the Planning Board on Thursday, July 16th. BNews reporter Robert Paris once again spoke with Parks and Recreation Director Brendan Egan for an update about how the department is offering programs while dealing with safety concerns around the coronavirus. Let's take a look.
Many activities at the Burlington Parks and Recreation Department are in operation. This week I spoke with Parks and Rec Director Brendan Egan and another COVID-19 update and found out how things are going with the summer programs.
So far, so good. As I've mentioned before, the program staff has really spent a lot of time leading up to the start of programs, going through all the guidance, making sure we were prepared and able to operate our programs. Although they're modified, they're still fun and safe. And we feel they're enjoyable for our participants, for the residents.
The maintenance staff at the department have been taking extra precautions when it comes to cleaning.
Going along with all of our programs, there is strict cleaning and sanitation guidelines that we have to follow. Our maintenance staff is, once a week sanitizing the high touch areas of the playgrounds, the bathrooms at Rahanis and at Simons Park. We are sanitizing them daily with a spray.
As we continue into phase 3, we must all stop the spread together.
I want to see people out following the guidelines that the state has put out and enjoying themselves. I'll say it again. I've said it a couple times in our talks. Short-term loss of some of our, typical expectations of what we can do and can't do for long-term gain. A little short-term suffering for the betterment going forward.
I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Check out the full interview at bcattv.org. Thank you, Robert. Even during a pandemic, there is a lot happening in Burlington. For all the latest, we go now to Robert Paris with this week's community calendar.
Hey everyone, I'm Robert Paris, and this is your community calendar. Do you need to print something? The Burlington Public Library is now offering 10 free pages per day, per person, available for curbside delivery. Email your documents to ref@burlingtonpl.org. Then the library will let you know when they are ready for curbside pickup. What is going on with your garden? Now you will have the opportunity to ask Master Gardener Peter Coppola any questions you have about your garden. Email your questions to ref@burlingtonpl.org and see your answers on the BPL Facebook page. Learn about how radiation is used in modern society and the benefit it provides and the potential dangers it can pose. On Wednesday, July 29th from 6 to 7 p.m., the Burlington Volunteer Reserve Corps is having a virtual presentation entitled Radiation in Everyday Life. Everyone is welcome. For more information on how to sign into this training, call the Board of Health at 781-270-1955. I'm Robert Paris, and that was your community calendar.
Thank you, Robert. Another week, another photo to highlight. This week's photo is one of my own and features a beautiful sunset captured during a recent family trip to Plum Island. The sky was definitely putting on a show that evening. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of your stay-at-home activities, finally eating al fresco at your favorite restaurant, shots of your pets, summer activities, or just the weather seen from your own backyard. Whatever you think is interesting and want to share. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line, Photo of the Week. Well, that's it for this week's edition of BNEWS Weekly. I'm Linda McNamee. Have a wonderful and safe week, and I'll see you around town. Good night.